Grandeur and Misery of Man, Apostolic Letter of Pope Francis on Blaise Pascal. The human condition. Pascal's philosophy, ever paradoxical, is grounded in an approach as simple as it is lucid. It seeks to attain to reality illumined by reason. He starts by observing that man is in some way a stranger to himself, at once great and wretched, great by virtue of his reason and his ability to master his passions, but great too in that he acknowledges himself wretched. Indeed, man aspires to something other than satisfying or resisting his instincts, quote, "For what is nature to animals we call wretchedness in man," end of quote. An intolerable disproportion exists between, on the one hand, our limitless desire for happiness and knowledge of truth, and, on the other, our limited reason and physical frailty, which ultimately ends in death. Pascal's strength is also his relentless realism. Quote, "It does not take great intelligence to realize that here below true and solid satisfaction, that all our pleasures are but vanity, that our ills are infinite, and that death, which threatens us constantly, will infallibly set before us in a few years the dread alternative of being annihilated or of being unhappy of all eternity. Nothing is more real than that, nor more frightening. We can act as bravely as we like. This is the end that awaits the finest life in the world." End of quote. In this tragic condition, surely an individual cannot retreat into himself, for his wretchedness and the uncertainty of his destiny prove unbearable to him. As a result, he needs to distract himself. Pascal readily acknowledges this, quote, "Hence it is that men so greatly love noise and commotion," end of quote. For if a person does not divert himself from his condition, and we know very well how to divert ourselves by work, forms of leisure, relationships in family or among friends, but also, alas, by the vices to which certain passions lead, his humanity experiences, quote, its nothingness, its abandonment, its insufficiency, its dependence, its powerlessness, its emptiness. And there emerge from the depth of his soul ennui, melancholy, sadness, chagrin, smite, despair, end of quote. Diversion fails to satisfy, much less fulfill, our great desire for life and happiness. This is something that all of us know quite well. At this point, Pascal sets forth his great argument. Quote, "What is it, then, that this longing and this feeling of helplessness cry out to us? If not that man once enjoyed a true happiness, of which there now remains but an empty trace that he tries in vain to fill with everything around him, seeking in things he lacks what he can't obtain from those he has. Yet none of these can provide it, for the infinite abyss cannot be bridged except by an infinite and immutable object, which is God himself." End of quote. If man is like a dispossessed king, seeking only to recover his lost grandeur, while knowing that he is incapable of doing so, then what is he? Quote, "What a fantastic creature is man, a novelty, a monstrosity, chaotic, contradictory, prodigious, judge of all things, feeble earthworm, bearer of truth, mire of uncertainty and error, glory and refuse of the universe. Who can undo this tangle? End of quote. As a philosopher, Pascal saw clearly that, quote, the greater our intelligence, the more we discover man's grandeur and his baseness. End of quote. And that these contradictions are irreconcilable. Human reason can't make them agree, nor resolve the enigma. Pascal goes on to argue that if there is a God, and if man has received the divine revelation, as a number of religions profess, and if that revelation is true, it must contain the answer we await in order to resolve the contradictions that causes such anguish. Quote, the greatness and wretchedness of man are so evident that the true religion must necessarily teach us both that there is in man a great principle of grandeur and a great principle of wretchedness. It must also account for these astonishing contradictions. From his study of the great religions, Pascal concludes that, quote, no thought and no ascetical and mystical practice can offer a way of redemption unless by the higher criterion of truth found in the illumination of grace. It is in vain, Pascal writes, imagining what the true God might tell us, that you seek in yourselves the remedy of our miseries. All our intelligence can only attain the knowledge that it is not in yourselves that you will find either truth or goodness. The philosophers promised it to you, and they were unable to deliver. They know neither what is your true good nor your veritable state. End of quote. After applying his extraordinary intelligence to the study of the human condition, the sacred scriptures, and the Church's tradition, Pascal now presents himself with childlike simplicity as a humble witness of the gospel. As a Christian, he wishes to speak of Jesus Christ to those who have hastily concluded that there is no solid reason to believe in the truth of Christianity. For his part, he knows from experience that the content of divine revelation is not only not opposed to the demands of reason, but offers the amazing response that no philosophy could ever attain on its own.